ப்ராடக்ட் ரெடி பண்ணியிருக்கான்னு சொல்லிட்டு திரும்பி வாங்க மாட்டாங்க. இட்ஸ் நாட் மோட்டிவேட்டிங். ஒன் டைம் ஐ கேன் eat or drink, but it has to motivate them to come back and back again and again. So that I think is a very important principles of success. So if you don't marry the customer expectation, don't understand, misread it. When you go there, everybody when you talk, they'll say, I want a very healthy products and so on. So I think that's a very fundamental learning for us. So looking back our journey, I would say starting Tamil Nadu offers phenomenal opportunity in terms of connectivity. I started at Kadalur, but later shifted to Chennai because of connectivity. The kind of ecosystem available here for growth is something fantastic in a city. Absolutely. The advertising agency, marketing resources, idella romba important for growth. So that helped quite a lot in terms of that. It's okay to shift between English and Tamil. Okay. So that I think is a very important thing. That's a very important decision because I have to let go of my comfort zone. So I let it go. That helped me quite a lot. Then I would say the next one is started making success in Tamil Nadu, started getting kind of this thing initially, talent, accumulation of talent, quality management, everything you have to learn one by one. And going beyond Tamil Nadu is a big challenge. A lot of companies don't go beyond Tamil Nadu because that's, I think, is a very important thing. The puzzle when you look at entrepreneurs, typically, ரொம்ப கான்ஃபிடென்ட்டான பர்சன் தான் they will depute. That comes very naturally. If you look at a lot of companies I have also studied, I was not an exception when I started, but I have to depart after making my own series of failures. So first பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இங்கே யாராவது கொண்டாந்தாங்கன்னா அவங்க பிரதர் இல்லை பிரதர் இல்லா ஃப்ரெண்டு இப்படி தான் கொண்டாடுவாங்க. நானும் அப்படி தான் கொண்டாந்தேன். I brought in my own friends who studied with me at college and schools. But going beyond Tamil Nadu, you require to speak the respective local language, not just English is not sufficient. So you get a lot of resources. I have sales guys, marketing guys, everybody is Tamilian, but somebody who can talk and understand the local ethos and culture of that particular state to make it a success, very difficult. So naturally the big ask for an entrepreneur is shift your belief system of எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சு கான்ஃபிடென்ட்டாக இருக்க பர்சன் தான் நான் ஹேவ் டு ஒர்க் வித் அப்படின்றத விட்டு ஐ கேன் ரெக்ரூட் எனிபடி ஆஃப் அ குவாலிட்டி பர்சன் அண்ட் ஒர்க் வித் தம் லோக்கலி வெரி ரைட் பர்சன் ஃபார் த ரைட் ஜாப் அப்படின்வாங்க. வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் சக்ஸஸ் க்ரைட்டீரியாவில். ஸோ அந்த ரைட் பர்சன் ஃபார் த ரைட் ஜாப் போடாமல் நான் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா தெர் இஸ் அதர் இங்கிலீஷ் ஒரு சேயிங் இருக்கும். இஃப் யுவர் மிஷன் இஸ் டு கிளைம்ப் அ ட்ரீ, வில் யூ ஹையர் அ ஸ்குரில் ஆர் அ ஹார்ஸ்? லாட் ஆஃப் என்டர்பிரனர்ஸ் ஹையர் அ ஹார்ஸ். Okay, it will be a disaster. I did the same thing when I went to Delhi. I wanted to go to North Market. இங்கேருந்து நான் ரொம்ப கான்ஃபிடென்ட்டாக இருந்தேன், நல்லா பிஸ்னஸ் என்வரான்மெண்ட்லாம் தெரியும், ஆனால் சேல்ஸ் தெரியாது, ரொம்ப மார்க்கெட்டிங் தெரியாது, அக்கௌண்டன்ட் நினச்சிட்டேன். உத ஸோ திரும்பி வந்துடலாம் அப்படின்னக்குள்ள then I said okay, I don't want to give up, I have to try. So that is when I thought very important thing, let me recruit local person who understood sales, marketing, local culture, markets, பஞ்சாப்னா எப்படி, யூபின்னா எப்படி, எல்லாம் டீட்டெயில் எவ்ரி மார்க்கெட் ஒர்க் பண்ண தெரிஞ்ச பர்சனை எடுப்போம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு அட்வர்டைஸ் பண்ணி we do. And those days itself I would say behavioral scientist, psychiatrist கூட்டு இன்டர்வியூ பண்ணி எடுத்தோம். So that I think that was the first departure I made. And that helped me a lot. அதுக்கப்புறம் நீங்கள் எங்கே போனீங்கனாலும் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா லோக்கல் சோர்ஸ், ஈவன் ஃபேக்ட்ரி, நீங்கள் ஃபேக்ட்ரி போனீங்கனாலும் ஃபஸ்ட்டு நம்மளால் அனுப்பிச்சி விடலாமா அப்படின்னு அனுப்பலாம். இட் கிரியேட்ஸ் அ யூ வெர்சஸ் மீ டிவைட். அதை ஓவர் கம் பண்ணணும்னா லோக்கல் பர்சன் வச்சு யூ ஹவ் டு பிளேஸ் ட்ரஸ்ட், யூ ஹவ் டு கிளியர்லி என்ஷூர் தட் கல்ச்சர் இஸ் பில்ட் அக்கார்டிங் டு யுவர் ரிக்குவயர்மெண்ட். ஸோ அந்த ஒரு பேசிஸ்லேருந்து வெளில வர்றது வெரி டிஃபிகல்ட் அப்படின்றது என்னோடய வியூ பாயிண்ட். செகண்ட் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் ரிக்குவயர்மெண்ட்டு மீடியா. தமிழ்நாடு, ஆந்திரா, கர்நாடகா இதெல்லாம் ஒரு மீடியா க்ளோஸாக இருக்கும், கேரளாலாம். ஆனால் வென் யூ கோ டு நார்த், டிவி இஸ் அ மெயின் டாமினன்ட் மீடியா. இஃப் யூ லுக் அட், யூ ஹவ் டு அட்வர்டைஸ் ஆன் ஸ்டார், கலர்ஸ், சோனி, ஜி. phenomenally expensive. It's not small, cheap. And same time, it is just advertising is not sufficient. You need to make it available. Avlo big geography la, making it parallelly available and advertising is a big ask. Small geography, it's easier. So that is why a lot of companies are not sufficiently attempting, or sporadic. So only when you graduate to that scale, you are able to execute both reach, distribution reach and advertising combination. Then it's a possible to succeed, is what I would say. But one of the important thing is that learn to manage with the local people is a very important task, is what I would say. But at the end of the day, innovation makes a difference. If you do not differentiate, you die. Don't go with a Me Too product to the market, is what I think my learning. Thank you.
Sir, I think the important point that you made is that there cannot be a one-size-fits-all approach. As you expand to other markets, it's important to understand local nuances, including consumer preferences, cultural context, etc., as you look at marketing. Sir, on that note, it'll be great, Dr. Ananda Ramakrishnan, to get your views as well, because this evolving consumer preferences and the implications that has on food processing is very important, right? Because we also discussed, for example, health and wellness as a big trend, but health keeping in mind taste as well, as Mr. Ranganathan said. So it'll be good to understand, how do you see evolving customer preferences, on the food side, and implications that has on food processing and value addition?
Yeah, already Ranganathan sir very clearly has mentioned about that health and the taste. See, 10 years back or 15 years back, people are told these carbonated beverages may not stay in market. Still we are diabetic, still they drink. They wanted to enjoy. 100 years back, we have taken food for the energy. 50 years back, we moved to the food for the nutrition. Now we want to take food for soul. We wanted to enjoy taking the food. That's what every weekends, everywhere people are going to restaurant. The consumers entirely change the scenario, and the food itself, looking into the food itself is changing. Then question mark comes, what Ranganathan sir is mentioning, is it a healthier choice, or you want to enjoy? Or you want to die, or you want to take the sweet? In this scenario, is it possible to give the same chocolate, alternative sugar, alternative to salt, or the fat? That's what we are looking at that. If you move on to that, how to cheat this 10 millicentimeter of tongue, that is the key play. There's the taste buds are there. How to cheat this place? Then which is the one connecting to your brain to enjoy the things? Then we have to map the brain. How to map the brain? Then we need a fMRI. That's what we are doing in the CSIR NIST Trivandrum. We wanted to give which is the food you like. Suppose you like a childhood, whatever the laddu bonda, you give how your brain blood flows very high when you enjoy the food. When you are not enjoying the food, blood flow will be reduced. We wanted to map and design the food according to the consumer's needs. That's what it is going on. Second point is nutrition. People wanted to go for alternatives. Is it possible to give fortified food? That's what fortified rice kernel is introduced. It's already implemented throughout the country. Another way is people are telling why I need a extra nutrition for that. Over nutrition, why I have to do that. So this is the always as a double coin with the consumers. Then consumer comes to the ethically food choice. See, in US, 40% of the people wanted to buy that company follow all the regulation, because I am following the government of India regulations, everything. That company also followed no child labor. They follow everything. Ethically manufactured food they wanted to buy. Consumers going beyond the taste and packaging, they're going beyond that level. That's what is moving on to that. Second, the positioning of or innovation of the product. You wanted to sustain in the market, 3P is important. Product innovation is the must. You should be differentiated from others. For example, recently one product has manufactured, it is a fish, but when you serve the fish, it makes the sound of seashore sound. That's called a sonic enhanced food. It's a nothing but it's a sizzlers type thing. Is it possible to create a sound in the food? That's what the innovation has to come into play, how to make that sound. You see, without crunchy sound in the bite in your tongue, you can't enjoy your chips. That is the key element. So how to synchronize all the things, that's what innovation is moving to then. Second P is that positioning of your product. For example, millet, we failed it. We positioned millet as the poor man's food. Nobody touched. This year, from the prime ministers to everybody talked about millet, people have started eating it that. See, when you coined as a poor man's food, for example, the famous car, the poor man's car, it's not picked up the market. Indians, we are ambitious people. We don't want to buy something. We wanted to showcase I am a poor. So we need to position our product as a premium product. Third is the pricing. We need to pay competitive prices. Volume wanted to play, price is low. If you wanted to buy high-end product, price should be there. So it is the combination of mixture of all the things. But one thing, all the food industry has to be a responsible industry. What Jigs has told about safety. You should not adulterate because we are buying the product, we are taking the product. So 99.9 no. 100% should not be a pure and processed food. It's good for health, then it's possible to do that. We should not make consumers, labeling should be clear. Everything should be given in the label to make sure consumer what they want, it is there in the product. Then you can succeed in the market. That's what my point. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think the landscape for food is going to completely change. Sizzling fish is what we are all looking at. So I think the last, couple of questions as we look at wrapping up this panel discussion is, I'd like to just shift from the front end to the back end, before we close this discussion. As we look at, value addition, how we source, how we procure, how do we get greater efficiencies there is one of the biggest challenges in the Indian agri landscape. So milk is one of the areas where that is a significant challenge. So as you look, Mr. Ratnam, at procurement and on the sourcing side, what are some of the biggest challenges you face, in the Indian context, and what could be some of the workarounds? It will be great to hear from you on that.
Okay. Say, as far as the, and let me talk about only the milk, okay? Rest of the things, unlike the developed countries, our milk procurement is very, very, fragmented. In India, milk is in an economical self-sustainability, okay, to the farmers. They're having one or two animals and, maybe cows and buffaloes, and their economic dependency comes from, 365 days milking of the animals and getting the payment, every 10 days or weekly or whatever it is. So, but in that case, in that sense, what it becomes is that, your average yield is something like 5 to 6 liters, per cow. So you have to collect from the larger farmers, large number of the farmers, and from the larger geographical area. One of the challenge which comes into the procurement of the thing is that, what we have learned, over the years is that, never depend on, any person in between. Okay, have the own setup established at the source. Okay, and have your own controls, right from procurement to the consumers. So that is where, we are able to minimize the challenges, because when you depend on others, the procurement, and as you rightly said, there's a kind of an, mixing or adulteration or a poor quality of the source which we are getting in. So what we did as a practice is that, go to the farmers directly, make them financially inclusive, like don't give them the cash, but transfer their produce, the money to their produce directly into their bank account, and have the chilling facilities established at different locations, so that you are able to preserve the quality of the milk when it comes out of the udder, and the minimum least possible way the transport into the plant. Okay, these are few things, having directly going to the farmers and making them financially inclusive, preserving the milk as it comes, and transporting it to the factory. These all few areas, we have to work my advice to all the young entrepreneurs is that, that whenever you want to buy any material, not even the milk, but any other material, directly go to the source directly, not having anything coming in between. So but that changes the quality, that changes the properties of the product. So directly go to the producers and get it and develop them to produce the product which is according to the need of the company, according to our standard. So there are few challenges, because milk being a perishable commodity, you need to transport it within the shortest possible time. Unlike the other places, we still have a last mile, the developmental activities have to happen, like chilling at source, and we have little challenges, because in every village or every region, there are many players to collect the milk, unlike in other established cooperatives. So we have those challenges, because we are getting a small quantity of milk from each village, transporting into the centralized location for the chilling. It adds to the cost. But at the same time, if you are able to work with the farmers and increase their in the productivity of the animals, and by increasing the volumes, we'll be able to reduce a certain amount of the procurement expenses. Thank you.
No, thank you, sir. I think the learnings from that for milk would be as relevant, in the broader agri landscape, to say how do we get closer to the farmer, and hence manage both the quality as well as the nature of the input that you're getting. On that note, I think we've discussed a variety of topics from R&D and innovation, importance of technology, key enablers from a policy perspective that the government can, but I think there is a lot more that needs to happen, both from the government side as well as the private side, as we
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். இதனை இதுதான் இவன் முடிப்பான் நன்றாய்ந்து அதனை எதன் கண் விழல் என்ற வள்ளுவனின் வாக்கு கணக்கு அருமையான ஒரு பேனல் லிஸ்ட் வச்சுருக்கேன். எங்களுக்கு நன்றி. முதல் கேள்வி, கடைசி கேள்வி அதுதான் எங்கள் சைட்லேருந்து. எம்எஸ்எம்இக்கு பார்த்திங்கன்னா ஃபுட் பார்க் பண்ணியிருக்கிறாங்க. சாரே சொன்னாங்க. அதாவது பார்த்திங்கன்னா 3 இடத்துல ஃபுட் பார்க் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. அங்கே பார்த்திங்கன்னா 99 years லீஸ் அப்படின்ற ஒரு கண்டிஷன் இருக்குது. அந்த 99 years லீஸுங்கிறது எப்போ மாற்ற போகிறீங்க? இல்லாட்டி யாருமே உள்ளார வரப்போகிற
shifting also is supported, and there is a support on the electricity, support on the employment, and a lot of different things. We will come in the public very soon.
One more question.
Sir, cost is applicable. So lease is equal to change of management. We can get mortgage with a consortium of international bank. So far 30,000 acres allotted all over Tamil Nadu. It is controlling the fact. If it is a sale, there was no control. For your information, take Sitco Industrial Estate Ambattur. Object is changed. IT industries, hospital, hotel industry is coming. Whereas in SIPCAT, those who are manufacturing is alone is permitted, not for trading. Only 5% of the land is allotted for trading. Lease is equal to sale. Anybody can change any number of times within 99 years.
Point
Thank you,
very
sir.
well
Thanks.
taken. Thank you very much. Let it be a quick question and quick answer.
Good afternoon, one and all. I am Ratnavel, the president of the Agro-Food Chamber of Commerce and Industry from Madurai. The good takeaway from this panel meeting is, don't compromise taste on the ground of health. It's a very good takeaway. ஏன்னா இப்போ மிஸ்டர் அழகுசுந்தரம் பேசும்போது டேன் ஏபெக்ஸிலேருந்து 12,000 யூனிட்ஸ் போடணும் அப்படின்லாம் சொன்னார். 8,000 யூனிட்ஸ் போட்டிருக்கிறதாகவும் சொன்னார். பட் ஒரு ஸ்டாட்டிஸ்டிக்ஸ் மிஸ்ஸிங். இந்த 8,000ல் எவ்வளோ பேர் சக்ஸஸ்ஃபுல்லாக கண்டினியூஸாக ரன் பண்ணுறாங்க, அந்த ஸ்டாட்டிஸ்டிக்ஸ் நமக்கு வரணும். அது வரலைன்னா அர்த்தமே இல்லை. நான் முடிச்சிடறேன் சார். இது ஒரு பக்கம். இன்னொன்று, நமக்கு தேவைகளே நிறையா இது நீங்கள் ஃபர்னிஷ் பண்ணலை. இப்போ நிறைய பேருக்கு வந்து எஃப்எஸ்எஸ்ஏ ஆக்டில் ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்குது. சின்ன சின்ன சேஞ்சஸ் பண்ண வேண்டியது இருக்குது. இதுக்கு என்னென்னா, வி ஹாவ் டு கோ டு டெல்லி. அங்கே போய் எல்லாரையும் மீட் பண்ணி வி ஹாவ் டு ரெப்ரசன்ட் ஹவு வி கேன் மேக் இட். ஒன்றும் இல்லை, இந்த அப்பளம் பண்ணுறாங்க. இட்ஸ் எ பிக் இண்டஸ்ட்ரி இன் மதுரை அண்ட் அதர் ஏரியா. இதில் ஒரு சின்ன ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்குது, விச் கேன் பி ரெக்டிஃபைடு. முடியலை. நான் என்ன சொல்கிறேன், நீங்கள் டேன் எபெக்ஸிலேருந்து யூ ஹாவ் எ ஃபோரம் ஹியர். எஃப்எஸ்எஸ்சிஐக்கு இப்போ எதுவும் ப்ராப்ளம் இருந்தால் இங்கே வாங்க சொல்லுங்கள். நாங்கள் டெல்லிக்கு போய் என்னங்க பண்ண முடியும்?
ஷூர்.
இன்னொன்று, இந்த லேபு வந்து ஒன்றுமே இல்லை. நீங்கள் சொன்னீங்க எக்ஸ்போர்ட் பண்ணுறது ஒன் ஆஃப் த ஆப்ஜெக்ட். இப்போ நாங்கள் மதுரையில் வந்து ஒரு பெரிய இன்ஃப்ரா டெவலப் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். யூ நோ தட். அனந்தராமகிருஷ்ணன் ஆல்சோ ஒரு அக்ரோ ஃபுட் ட்ரேட் சென்டர்னு பெருசாக பண்ணியிருக்கோம் வித் எய்ட் ஆஃப் த சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட். அதில் நாங்கள் லேப் வச்சுருக்கோம், என்ஏபிஎல் அக்ரெடிட்டட் லேபே வச்சுருக்கோம். எக்ஸ்போர்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு எங்கள்கிட்ட எக்யூப்மெண்ட்டே இல்லை. அதெல்லாம் காஸ்ட்லியாக இருக்குது. சப்சிடைஸ் பண்ணி கொடுக்க மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க. யூ சே தட் வி ஹாவ் டு எக்ஸ்போர்ட்டை சர்டிஃபை பண்ணுற லேப் வி ஷுட் ஹாவ். இது இல்லைன்னா முடியாது. ஸோ எஃப்எஸ்எஸ்ஏ பாருங்கள், லேபை பாருங்கள். நல்லா சொன்னீங்க டேஸ்ட்டுன்னு. மில்லட்ஸுக்கு ஒரு எக்ஸிபிஷன் நடத்துகிறோம் இன்டர்நேஷ்னல். ஒண்டர்ஃபுல் ப்ராடக்ட்ஸ் பண்ணாங்க. ஆனால் எல்லாம் மருந்து மாதிரி இருக்குது. அந்த இடத்துல சாப்பிட்டு வி ஹாவ் டு லீவ் இட். தயவு செய்து நீங்கள் பிரச்சாரம் பண்ணுங்கள். இந்த மில்லட்ஸ் எல்லாம் ஃபோர்ட்டிஃபைடாக தான் இருக்கணும். இப்போ கூட நான் ஒரு விளம்பரம் பார்த்தேன், தோசை மாவில் கொஞ்சம் கலங்க, டேஸ்ட்டு மாறலைன்னு சொன்னாங்க. நல்லா கவனிச்சுக்கோங்க. ஸோ நம்ம என்ன டேஸ்ட்டு சாப்பிட்றோமோ அதில் தான் மில்லட்ஸ் எல்லாம் கொண்டு வர முடியும். தயவுசெய்து ப்ளீஸ் எஜுகேட். தேங்க்யூ.
Thank you, sir. So,
Yeah,
I think
all
we'll
points
close with
taken,
our-
sir. We will handle it. And TN Apex will become one-stop solution for all such needs in a very short time.
okay. So we'll have one-to-one interactions. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So thank you all. Okay. To express our gratitude, I invite Mr. Kiran Gurala, IAS Town Panchayat, to present token of appreciation to our esteemed speakers. Starting from C. Anantaramakrishnan. Next we have Dr. Jix Anthony. Mr. C.K. Ranganathan. Dr. K. Aragasundaram. Dr. K. Ratnam. Mr. Sanjay Sacheti. And Ms. Sushma Vasudeva. Thank you all for being a part of this enriching session. Nandri Vanakkam. Thank you.
2050, India will be the largest consumer of many of these services. So we, as Indians, and sitting here in TamilNadu, I think TamilNadu can set the standard. We need to be. And today we embark on a journey towards building a brighter future with inclusive entrepreneurship. Today's gathering is not just an event, it's a convergence of minds, ideas, and aspirations from diverse corners of the entrepreneurial landscape. So we are privileged to welcome our esteemed chief guest today, our keynote speaker, Professor Solomon Darwin, Executive Director of the Center of Corporate Innovation at the UC Berkeley, Dr. Milind Kamble, Founder Chairman of the Dalit Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Mr. Nagaraja Prakasam. He's a leader with 3 decades of global experience. Retired at 41, he's enjoyed as a farmer, growing startups across the country. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. So today, throughout this event, we will delve into the heart of inclusive entrepreneurship. We have an engaging panel discussion lined up, featuring distinguished individuals representing various facets of diversity. As we stand on the threshold of this exciting venture, let us remember that entrepreneurship knows no bounds. It thrives on diversity, inclusivity, and the belief that every individual, regardless of the background, has the potential to contribute to a brighter future. Together, we will explore new horizons, forge meaningful partnerships, and lay the foundation for a more inclusive and prosperous entrepreneurial landscape. Once again, a heartfelt welcome to each one of you. Let the Global Investors Meet 2024 be a catalyst for collaboration, innovation, and a future where entrepreneurship knows no boundaries. So I would like to invite our CEO and MD, Startup team, to give a set of context on today's session.
So, good morning to all. Sorry, due to rain, we are getting more audience very soon. So this is one of the important sessions. We envisioned when we planned the overall gym sessions. So I don't want to take much of the time because it's a 90-minute session divided into 3 sectors. So it is about I just want to give a context. Every state, every country have a policy, philosophy, ideology on the development. So Tamil Nadu is uniquely positioned, for the past 50, 60 years, several decades, on inclusive development. That means we are always concerned about a balanced growth. One side, it should be, economic growth. If you draw a X-Y axis, one side it will be an economic growth. The Y-axis will be a social index. Only when you have that balance, we will achieve the inclusive growth. Inclusive growth leads to happiness index, good happiness index. So wherever we need to take a capitalistic view, or in other words, in terms of development of economical aspects, we will take that view. But when it affects the social factors or social inclusivity, then we'll take the social, developmental development-oriented decisions. This was the practice of the governments for the past 50, 60 years. That is the inclusive model, or the balance between economic index and social index. It is what our Chief Minister, Honorable Chief Minister, used to call as Dravidian model, nothing else. So in this context, when we launched the startup ecosystem related activities through Startup TamilNadu, our policies also are aligned with inclusive development. So we wanted to give equal opportunity to suppressed, marginalized castes, like scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, the gender equality, equal opportunity or more opportunities to women folk, and also differently abled, also the third gender or the transgender, and also very importantly, geographical inclusivity. So most of the startup ecosystem is being developed, or the governments or the whatever the social, business associations, they focus on the metro cities. For example, if it is Tamil Nadu, people consider only Chennai and to some extent Coimbatore. They don't think beyond that. So we wanted to develop or implement our programs in each and every nook and corner of the state. So these inclusivity, social inclusivity, caste inclusivity, gender inclusivity, and differently abled or third gender inclusivity, all put together, we wanted to frame policies and implement schemes and take everyone in the growth path. So this is the nutshell, the underlying philosophy of Government of Tamil Nadu in every project that we wanted to reflect in startup related schemes also. So in this connect, we have three different sector of events today. The first will be about the geographical inclusivity, where when I went to US, I met an esteemed, an eminent professor called Mr. Solomon, Dr. Solomon Darwin, who is the director of the corporate innovation at the UC Berkeley, University of Berkeley. So he will be handling the first session. Maybe I have Ms. Janaki here. Yeah, Janaki, you can introduce Professor. Yeah. So Janaki is an IBM. She's heading the sales enterprise of IBM. So she coordinated to connect with Professor Solomon. She's also working closely with Berkeley University. So she will briefly, introduce Dr. Solomon Darwin. Dr. Solomon Darwin is a very interesting personality. He is also called the father of rural innovation, the modern day rural innovation. So he's working on a unique project called the Digital Village Movement, where how startup kind of activities can be nurtured in the rural parts of the world. So he has developed a model, so he will be discussing his model here today.
Good morning, everyone. Dr. Solomon Darwin doesn't need introduction in the US because he's a very well-renowned professor in UC Berkeley. He heads the Garwood Corporate Innovation Forum at UC Berkeley and works with several multinationals. The first time that I met him was, I'm from IBM. I lead the corporate innovation for IBM. I'm an AVP of sales for the industries vertical. So like IBM, he works with several multinational companies to embrace the open innovation. So I'm not going to take a lot of time introducing myself. You can just listen to him and speak. So Solomon Darwin, please come to the stage. Today he is going to take us through the journey of what is innovation, open innovation, and how to build this inclusive entrepreneurship under the umbrella of open innovation.
Thank you, Janaki. Welcome, everyone. Let me say a few things first, and it's great to be here. The Smart Villages movement takes an ecosystem approach because a good ecosystem in a village retains its villagers, so it's greener and better, and so that's the approach we are taking. The other thing I want to say is that Prime Minister Modi made a statement a while ago. He said India will become smarter when its villagers when its villages become smarter. It means most of the people in India live in villages, and so when the villages get smarter and greener, so will India. So that's a great statement. He did not say India will become smarter when its smart cities get smarter, right? So that's a big, big impact there. So when villagers get empowered with digital tools, one which we're going to introduce today with the generative AI capabilities, I think it'll democratize the access to global markets and and have access to a lot of entrepreneurs around the world. So what we need is growth, but not growth for growth's sake, but it has to be growth that sustains our planet. So during COVID-19, I think we all have witnessed where a lot of people, millions of people, walked back to their villages. And from Mumbai, Calcutta, New Delhi, the reason they did that is because food does not grow on the 60th floor of a high-rise building in Mumbai. It grows in villages. So people went back to villages because that's where the river is. That's where their roots are, their community is, lakes are, food grows there, legacy, all of those are represented in, said in COVID-19 time, he shut down all the studios. They couldn't meet. But the best movie ever made, Encanto, was made during COVID-19 time because he moved the equipment from the studios to the people's apartments. And even though they didn't meet, the best movie ever made, technologically and artistically, was made at that time. So we just need to think about if Clark Spencer can move equipment and technology into people's apartments, we definitely can move it to our villages, to make our villages smarter, to fulfill Prime Minister Modi's dream. And so I think that's one of the things that we just need to think. The Earth was extremely happy when COVID-19 happened because Earth was, all the wildlife began to replenish. Ganges, the most polluted river in the world, was drinkable. You can see the fish down there. So I think we need to think a new way in order to sustain the planet. So with that, let me go ahead and, I'm from UC Berkeley. We are people who, we're a public university funded by the government. So we are not a profit-making university like a private university, and we generated more Nobel laureates than any other university in the world because we focus on environmental problems. Is also part of that. Free speech movement, all of these anti-war movement, all of those came out of Berkeley. So without further ado, let me keep going. So the focus of my life has primarily been the underserved people, and I wrote several books on that, and so neglected regions of the world, neglected resources, and neglected the world, which is the declining planet that we live in, and also neglected healthcare. So if you're interested, you can kind of take a look at these on Amazon. They're all available. So they are things that food for thought, and if you can also contribute. So the topic today is about this from the Building a Brighter Future, but I'm going to speak from my recent book, The Declining Balance Sheet of the Earth, from the viewpoint of a benevolent CEO looking down and saying, what should we do? And if there's a mission statement for the world, I think it should begin at TamilNadu, because we're a very forward-thinking state. Mainly it is to sustain and replenish the Earth's resources. And manufacturing is good, industrialization is good, but it shouldn't pollute our planet, right? And so I believe that a vision statement is that we need to take care of the entire human race, as well as people who are marginalized, and as well as creatures as well. So that's a mission statement. One of the things that we are noticing, I just want you to see this, and I hope it works. There it is.
I think in Madras you had, or TamilNadu, you had those floods. They're caused because of the climate change, and many of the island nations are concerned about because it has to. So you can see how those ice caps. So it's exponential. So we cannot say, well, because one day we'll just wake up like COVID-19 and say, what should we do, right? So we need to be intelligent people trying to take care of this. And so because what sustains life on the planet is these 8 cycles, right? All the creatures contribute to it, to sustaining these cycles. We call it, I think you have learned it in your high school or in your, when you, about these 8 circles that actually keep life going on the planet. Not only our life, human life, but the life of all the animals and creatures, right? And very, very important. The problem was that we as human beings interfere with these cycles, creating these disruptions, right? And that's one of the problems. Human interference disrupts these cycles, creating what we call these climate changes and other things. So the reason I stuck to villages is because villages are green and they promote more sustainability. So we have over time in history moved from green to greed, because you can see some of the things that created value and wealth as were in villages, rural living, assets were all green, energy was gravity, right? And so we moved from there into more industrialization that put more carbon into the air, and then eventually into more knowledge-based assets. And all of this really is hurting the planet. And so, wealth creation should be done more in rural and green technologies, and that's why I promote more smarter villages. We need more villages than we need cities. So we need to be driven by goodness and not by greed, and that's one of the problems that we have. So the other thing that's happening in our world is, when I was in college in 1975, most of the assets on the balance sheet are physical, like land, arable land, physical, that you can touch and feel. But in my own lifetime, in 2005, more than 80%, now I think it's more like 90%, are assets that you can't touch and feel. They are knowledge assets, IP. They are algorithms, they're formulas. They create what we call perceived value, not real value, like the real assets, right? And that also creates problems. Knowledge has given us all these wonderful technologies to make our life comfortable, right? And we got used to it. And it just happened in the last 250 years. So before that, we were an agricultural economy, which was green. And you can see, yes, it is good, but it also creates a lot of problems. We need a benevolency, for the planet. So we live in a sinking boat. We can't say it's China's problem, it's America's problem, right? I gave a keynote at COP28. The 2 culprits did not make it there. America was not represented. Biden didn't make it, and China's president didn't make it. They're the people who pollute the most, but everybody else did. All the other prime ministers were there. So we just can't shift the blame. So my solution is we need to go and become more green through an ecosystem approach. When you look at nature, when you look at your own human body, we are an ecosystem. The 10 R's. Ecosystems regulate seamlessly. They recycle waste, repair damage, reuse byproducts, and it also repurposes excess, right? And reduces intake rejects impediments, like your body always is rejecting poisons, replenishes resources, and replicates the processes and reproduces itself. You see that in plants, you see that in animals, you see that in your own body. But why can't we make businesses with the same, in the same way? Why can't we replicate it in that way? So we are able to do this in villages because they're much greener, people are simpler, people in villages respect nature, they're closer to the earth, and that's one of the things that I'm really concerned about. This is a human body, your heart, lungs, and every organ works in complete cooperation and coordination without wasting things. It doesn't consume more than what it needs, right? So we produce a lot of waste, and we have one of the problems is overconsumption. In 1950s, the hamburger used to be so small, but now people eat so much that Americans have so much fat in their body that it equals 1 billion people. So we are greed. We cut down forests. We also have topsoil that is disappearing, right? And in 2050, India will be the largest consumer of many of these services. So we, as Indians, and sitting here in TamilNadu, I think TamilNadu can set the standard. We need to be more sustainable and not do a lot of waste, right? And of course, water is at the front of it. It's 1% of water sustains life on a planet. And how we handle and use that water is very, very important. So the problem is, along with this, I have my colleague, who's an economist at Berkeley, his office is next to mine. He publishes this all the time, and every year. And you can see that the gap between the rich and poor is so big, and the people that really run the world, whether it's the technology companies or the CEOs of those companies, they make a lot of money. The top 1%, right, and the bottom 90%. So this is a big gap, right? The gap is big, and the gap is also widening. We're much better off in the 60s. See those two lines there? As we're getting worse. So all the knowledge in the world, all the technology in the world that we create in Silicon Valley and the knowledge in the universities we produce is not helping. We are worse off in that way. It's not only widening, it's also worsening. People are working harder and harder for less money, and that's not also good. And it's global. In Europe, we have the same problem. Their poorer populations are getting poorer, and the richer populations get richer. Same thing in India. 9 richest people in India own more than the bottom 50%. 9 people own more wealth than 600 million people combined. That is not really good news. On China, we don't have any data. So addressing some of these pain points, and how do we get out of this hole, creating a brighter future for the world, is the challenge that we have. There's poverty. There is also inequality. Gosh, wrong thing. Look at me. Turn this off here. There's poverty. There's urbanization. We always think it is good. When people leave the villages, go to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, like in my village, right? The families are separated, right? And there's a lack of happiness. Kids get ruined. They get into drugs. And the husband, whose wife is working, is womanizing. And so we have all these problems because I run a school in the rural villages. So this is one of the problems that we have that we need to address. So the other thing that I wanted to show why we started Smart Village Movement at Berkeley is because of this one chart. A rich man can afford high-value products at high price because money is not a problem for him, right? That's easy. Any monkey can do it, number one. It needs a basic strategy. Number two is also easy because you take all the crumbs
from the rich man's table and give it to the poor, because this is low value at low price. But the center that I work, Center for Corporate Innovation, is about number 3. And that's where the smart villages come in. Hard to achieve without innovation. So all of us need to be entrepreneurs and innovators in order to make that happen. And one of the things that you see here is there are so many poor people in this world than the rich people. The rich man is dying and he's only growing at a very small percentage, 2.5%. While the rich man, the poor man and the poor countries are growing at 7.5%. So that's one of the things that we need to keep in mind, and that's why we created this whole thing called Smart Village Movement. We hope that TamilNadu will also be number 1. Yesterday we heard we are number 1 in so many things, right? Bringing in companies, manufacturing, all these products, but we need to be number 1 in sustainability of the planet and also creating smarter villages so people are retained, right? So my definition of a smart village is not about building infrastructure like libraries, roads, water tanks, and so on. It is about building people, empowering people with our current digital technologies to access global markets. So anyone can be an entrepreneur, regardless of who they are and what their background is. If you give them the access to global markets, they will definitely do it, because human DNA has a PhD that God had already granted it. It will emerge to the occasion and the crisis, and it will manifest itself. So we just need to give people access through our digital technologies. And smart villages are all about a community. People like to live in communities. That's where the happiness is, right? It is also an ecosystem. It's relationships that meet one another's needs. Villages are also a brand. My village is known for weavers. For thousands of years, we have been weaving this cloth, right? Identity, legacy, lineage, ancestral pride, all of those exist in a village, right? When you go to a city, you lose all those. Business models. A village is also a business model because it has a capacity to create value and capture some of the value in terms of profit. Every village is unique. And this is where that inclusivity of entrepreneurship comes in, right? And number 5, it's also a platform. Today, with the technology we have today, people can trade without any barriers. A weaver can put their sari on the platform and sell it to a lady in San Jose, California at $100 versus $10 in her own village, right? And that is empowerment. And so when I was a young man, I used to have all this. Now all of that is available now on a cell phone. It's mobile, it's affordable, it saves time, saves energy, right? And it has many practical solutions, the speed of transactions. So we are using this kind of technology to empower people, to bring democracy of knowledge into their hands. So we'll be hearing about some of the technology very, very soon at the pavilion. So we use an ecosystem approach, as I mentioned to you. This is the farmers. Why is the farmer dying? And Bill Gates was in Visakhapatnam a while ago, and he said, why are the farmers dying? So we did a research. We interviewed over 40,000 farmers, and it's because of this reason, is that everyone sells to the farmer, pesticide company, fertilizer company, seed company, the landlord, and so cost aggregation, risk is all borne by this man, and no one in the ecosystem doesn't really bear the risk. And so all these offerings are isolated. The man does not know information, how to sell, at what price. Those were the reasons, all right? So Bill Gates said, what is the solution? And the solution is we need to make these people smarter. And so we went back and said,
Now the S curve is going up, which means all those companies that are selling to the farmer, if they work together as in one ecosystem, they will eliminate costs, save time, the speed to market, waste is also retained, right? So that is the approach that we're taking. Let me just give me a few minutes. So we talked about the ecosystem, right? And when we started the Smart Village movement, we said how many companies that work in villages would like to use this approach of ecosystems. And we had a lot of people, 86 companies signed up for this. You can see some of those are very well-known names, right? They say we love to do this together to make the villages smarter. And these are real companies. We had real meetings, and the meetings are now, some of the smart villages are employed in Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, Andhra, and so on. So we want to create smart villages where people want to stay in a village and not really flee from the village. So in my village in Mori, which was made smarter, many people there never left the village but worked for companies in Atlanta, Silicon Valley, and other places, being with their families, because we gave them internet. I told Mr. Nadu, if you want me to make your village smart, you need to give access to every single person in the village. And he did that. He kept his promise. And the other one is energy. You need to give them 24-hour electricity. So that's in the center. So all of these companies came because there's energy, there's connectivity, and they brought in a whole ecosystem of companies that want to grow them. So that's one of the things that Conrad Sangma, the Chief Minister of Meghalaya, said, is I want you to make my state smart and my villages smart, but I don't want my young people leave the state and work for Bangalore or Silicon Valley or New Delhi or Mumbai. I want them to stay in the state. Otherwise, I'll lose all the smart people, and then I'll be left with all the lazy ones. You can't grow an economy like that. So I think there's a lot of, so Salesforce stepped up to it, and we're teaching people how to code, how to program, how to be tested and placed in jobs right in the villages on mobile devices, right? And that is very, very important, right? So what I do, this is, I'll finish this with this slide here. When we create an ecosystem with companies, we always tell the Silicon Valley companies, if you want to be a part of this movement, is you need to be a part of someone's journey. If you're not a part of a journey, then you're useless to the world, right? So the journey of a student, right? They need access, basic skills, all of those. So all these companies signed up to be a part of a student because they need access first, learn basic skills, creative skills, and finally get a job. So this is something that, this is the healthcare. Same thing with patients. They need to recover, but also prevent the disease. All of those companies signed up. And here's agriculture. See, the journey maps are very, very important because companies are useless unless you're part of a journey of an individual or a family or a student. And so this is the household journey. Household also needs something. So every company should have a purpose in the sustainability, and that can only happen in villages, I believe. And I think, so this is a process we follow, and all of this process is available now on generative AI, and it's a technology that every person in any village can talk in their own language to an AI that becomes smarter by the day. With that, I will introduce Jackie to come and say a few words about the technology, and also Sabine.
Hello? Hello? Thank you, Professor. It was a fantastic presentation. I hope that we get to work with you from Tamil Nadu and then create some smart villages movement within Tamil Nadu. Shivraj Ramanathan sir is working with you. Hopefully next time when we are here, we talk about examples of our smart villages here in the state. With that, I'm going to introduce you to Samin Dema, who is the founder and CEO of a company called Humans.ai, where humanity meets the innovation of AI. It's an asset where, like, artificial intelligence is all over the place. People are like talking about artificial intelligence. There's a question of governance and ethical and responsible building, responsible AI comes into a big question. And this is the first ever company, Humans.ai, in the world, created a blockchain around the Humans.ai. I will let him speak about his company briefly, but we do have a session at 2:30 at the Startup Pavilion. The reason why we are here is that we would like to invite you to that session where Sabine is going to do a demo of what his company does, Humans.ai. Sabine, just a quick
Hello everyone, congratulations for this wonderful event. We all understood that artificial intelligence is going to democratize the access to education, to healthcare. We can create an entrepreneur out of everyone. Everyone can be a creator. But also we can create stronger communities. And we can create stronger communities by creating stronger individuals. So we are inviting you, everyone, to 2:30 at the Startup Pavilion Arena to present you how can we create an artificial intelligence program that is listening to everyone and is creating AI solutions to help villagers, to help individuals, communities, countries, and so on. Thank you, everyone, and again, congratulations for this wonderful event.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor. We would like you to be on the stage. So I would like to invite our MD and CEO, Mr. Sivaraja Ramanathan sir, and Mr. Kiran Gurala IAS, Director Town Panchayat, to facilitate our chief guest. Thank you. Thank you. Sure, no problem. Thank you. Thank you, Professor, once again for the wonderful session. So let's move towards our next session, next keynote address. So it's a privilege to welcome Dr. Milind Kamble, the esteemed 2013 Padma Shri Awardee and founder chairman of the Dalit Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Dr. Kamble has been a trailblazer in uplifting and marginalized communities through entrepreneurship. His leadership has expanded DICCI's influence globally, and his roles as a chairman of IIM Jammu's Board of Governors and the National SCST Hub's Advisory Board underscore his commitment to education and empowerment in trade and industry. Today, as Dr. Kamble shares his insights, let's be inspired by his dedication to inclusivity and empowerment in the corporate world. Please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Milind Kamble. Thank you.
Very good morning, and in Chennai we are enjoying a rain like a monsoon, so it's a very different weather. Thank you very much, Government of Tamil Nadu, for inviting me for this session, building inclusive entrepreneurship ecosystem. I represent DICCI, Dalit Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. This idea itself a disruptive idea, Dalit Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So which we started from 2005 from Pune, and now it's a nationwide organization spread across
all 27 states and internationally 7 countries we have chapters. More than 10,000 entrepreneurs. They are regular members, active members in this chamber, and almost up to 1 lakh entrepreneurs we have touched. So it's a 18 years of a journey working for a inclusive growth and for the economic empowerment of a scheduled caste and scheduled tribe communities. It is called marginalized communities also. So we are working for these groups for the economic empowerment through self-help and entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is the best way for the economic empowerment which we found while working in this so many years. Basically, I am an entrepreneur. So I have started my journey from a very small village from Maharashtra, Latur district. Now I am in Pune and Mumbai working as a builder and developer. So this is a very interesting journey for an entrepreneur. And while doing my entrepreneurship, I feel that I have to work for my community for the economic empowerment. I follow Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's philosophy, and I am a follower of his economic thoughts. He was the great economist of India, and there is a lot of contribution in the economic field, particularly in the area of monetary economics and public finances. This year, we are celebrating 100th year of his first book, The Problem of Rupee, Its Origin and Solution. And exactly we will finding the problem of rupee, where it is. And then we started the rupee chess. We are started the dollar chess practice, and from 2005 we are working at a different level. So let us understand. Just now a very excellent presentation by Professor Solomon regarding villages and to develop a village economy and entrepreneurship system. So the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe people, those we called marginalized, what was their role in villages? Their role in villages were to support by way of services. Now in a modern management, we can say they were the service providers to the society. Okay, so that's why he was the part of village economy. He was not merely simply sitting, he was contributing for the village economy, and he was the service provider. Who can provide a service? Those people who are having some skill sets, those people can provide us services. Okay. And while you come to the entrepreneurship, what is the prerequisite of an entrepreneurship? The prerequisite of entrepreneurship is you have to have a skill set, or you have to have a domain knowledge is a prerequisite. And if you apply to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe people, those part of a village economy, yes, they are having skill sets and they are having domain knowledge. That's why we feel that this is the most vulnerable community to become an entrepreneur. And that's why in our thought basket, we started through this disruptive idea to developing a business leadership among scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. And in a social hierarchy, these people are oppressed, depressed people. They have not access to the education, not access to the so many things that we know. Okay. Then we again ignited all these people, and we have given another slogan: fight caste with capital. This is something different, disruptive things which we brought on table and started working. And now, while working with the government of India and while working with the Indian industry, we created so many entrepreneurs in this country. So while working with the government of India, what we created, and with a state government, yes, I am in a TamilNadu, then I will speak later on, but what is required to develop and support these marginalized or scheduled caste and scheduled tribe entrepreneurs, to create an inclusive society? So it requires 3M ecosystem, which we have defined. That is, the first M is a market. Market is a very important. Okay. Without a market, where you will sell your products. Okay. So for a market, the government is the biggest market. Whether it's a central government or whether it's a state government, government procures so many things, services, goods, and contracts. Through this, the government spends a lot of money. So government is the biggest market. Therefore, in the first M market, at the government level, we created a procurement policy, or we suggested to the government, you have to create a procurement policy. So likewise, as of now, there is a 25% procurement set aside from MSME sectors. Those are startups, which is from 3% from women entrepreneurs, 4% from scheduled caste and scheduled tribe entrepreneurs, and rest of from general category entrepreneurs. This is for a startup and entrepreneurs is a very important market. Every entrepreneur, they are in search of assured market, and that market support is created by a government. So similarly, in the US also, there is a 23% procurement from the MBEs, minority business entrepreneurs. Their definition is very different. They call minority for African Americans, Asians, Indians also there, Hispanians and other LGBTQ and women entrepreneurs. They have a very vast definition of a minority entrepreneurs. So they have set aside 23%. So in our India, we have set aside 25% procurement from these entrepreneurs. This is the first M, which is very important. Similarly, this is created by government. Similarly, we have to work with the industry. So Dickey, as a chamber, we are a partner of a CII for the affirmative action. And I'm a co-chair of that affirmative action task force. And as of now, more than 5,000 SC/ST entrepreneurs we have connected to the main Indian industry houses as a suppliers in their supply chain and vendors. So this way we have to work two ways, at the government level and at the private level, and so that the assured market, these startups, these people will get, and their confidence will boost. So another M, which is the money, which is very important. And when we start about the startups and all, and what are the hurdles and all this, when we discuss the early stage funding. See, early stage funding for an idea is a very difficult in India. Okay, in the US and here and there, it's a very easy for early stage funding for an idea. But in India, we have a banking, a legacy system that which is a collateral base. Therefore, it's a very difficult, was earlier days. But as of now, we have a complete support system for funding for startups. the government of India's different initiatives, Startup India, like a Tamil Nadu government's initiative to support startups. So like that type of support system is required. And other financing support system like institutional supports like a Mudra, which is the biggest ever financial inclusion scheme in this country. I can speak it later on, or it's a very big subject. So 45 crore people has got access through Mudra. The ticket size is very small. Average ticket size is 45 to 47,000. But for a street vendor, it is a very big amount for him. So like that, and I have started my enterprise by just 25,000 rupees. So it's by my own, from a salary from early 2-3 years I worked, and from salary I have my savings. I started my enterprise. So like this institutional support system is very important. So that support system, venture capital fund for a growth capital, all this is important, which is working with the government we created. And third is the mentoring, which is very important because all our first generation, those people not having any business background, for them mentoring support is very important because we have a incubation center. We are working with so many incubation and startup centers in the country. I'm being heading Indian Institute of Management, so I work with very closely with these startups and all that. For us, for institutions and for academicians and for also government, they have to worry because the mortality rate of startups is very high. So need to create a support system at an educational level, at incubation center level, how to support these startups so that they become successful and successful. So this is something is in the country. So another point I want to make is, or the message I want to give from this TN startups, if we want to create an inclusive society or sustainable society, we have to work on two factors, by government and by industry. That is on supplier diversity and employment diversity. On these two factors are very important to create a sustainable society, because I work very closely with US ecosystems like NMSDC, National Minority Supplier Development Council, with SBA, Small Business Administration Department, and so many corporates in the US. So we closely work, and these two things they practice. Government also practice and Indian industry also practice. Here also we are working very closely with the Indian industry to create a support system through a supplier diversity. What is a supplier diversity? Or what is a employment diversity? So supplier diversity means your supplier base should be diverse. There should be women entrepreneurs, there should be a marginalized community entrepreneurs, there should be all type of suppliers. It is called diverse supplier base. And what is the employment diversity? So as employment diversity means, if Bill Gates, he owns a company, Microsoft, when he enters into his office, he don't want to see all white faces as MD, CEO, and CXO and CTO and all these employees. So when he enters into his office, he wants to see diverse employment. There should be African American, there should be Indian, there should be Hispanians, and like that, that approach is very much needed. So through this TN startup conclave and this investor meet, I appeal to the Indian industry to create a sustainable and inclusive society. You have to must adopt
employment diversity and supplier diversity. Without these two things, we cannot create a sustainable society or equitable society. This is my takeaway from this summit. And thank you very much for inviting me, my colleagues, Padma Shri Ravi Kumar Narar, National President, my Chennai, TamilNadu Presidents, and colleagues, they are present here. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you. Doctor? Yeah. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful session. So I'd like to invite our MD and CEO, and Saratian, and Mr. Kiran Gurala, IAS, for facilitating our chief guest. Ladies and gentlemen, as we embark on our panel discussion on building a brighter future with inclusive entrepreneurship, we are joined by a diverse panel, each a symbol of inclusive growth. I would like to invite our MD and CEO, Tansen, for introducing our moderator and speakers for the session. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the wonderful speech, Dr. Milind Kamble. And I would like to share that, Tamil Nadu is one of the, or not one of the, the only state having a venture fund for SCST founders.
விலை நிறைந்த தரம் தங்கள் தேவைகள் அனைத்தும் ஒரே இடத்தில்
36 வருட அனுபவம் 23 கிளைகள் கொண்ட சுற்றுலா நிறுவனம் ஸ்ரீ முருகன் டிராவல் ஏஜென்சி. தொடர்புக்கு srimurugantravel.com.
சென்னையில் நடைபெறும் உலக முதலீட்டாளர்கள் மாநாடு ஜனவரி 7 மற்றும் 8 அன்று நடைபெறுகிறது. அனைவரும் வருக.